The blizzard on Vega. The wind howled across the frozen wasteland of Vega 7. Jace Halden, a human scout from the Earth Coalition, tightened his thermal jacket as the snowstorm grew worse. White ice dust flew in every direction, and he could barely see his own boots. His boots crunched over frozen ground as he dragged a small energy crate into the corner of his tent. The walls shook from the force of the storm outside. The temperature had dropped to minus 70 degrees Celsius. He activated the tent's heating core and sat down, rubbing his hands together. His breath turned to mist in the air. Jace spoke to himself, as he often did when alone. 4 days of this snow and still no sign of life. His mission was simple: survey Vega 7's north sector for any energy readings, signs of alien life, or ancient tech. So far, the only thing he found was cold, ice, and more cold. Suddenly, his handheld scanner beeped. Movement. He frowned and picked it up. The screen showed a heat signature, weak, small, but moving about 50 meters from the tent. No way. Nothing should be alive out there, he whispered. He zipped up his jacket, grabbed his plasma pistol, and stepped outside into the storm. The cold hit him like a hammer. Ice stung his face. He followed the scanner's signal, his boots slipping across frozen ridges. Then he saw it. A figure in the snow. Small, hunched, and trembling. The shape of a girl, barely taller than his shoulder. Thin, glowing lines pulsed faintly on her skin through her torn clothes. Jace ran to her and dropped to one knee. "Hey, can you hear me?" She didn't answer. Her body was freezing cold, lips blue, eyes half closed, alien. Her skin was a soft lavender color, and her hair, white like snow, was stuck to her face. Jace didn't think twice. He picked her up gently, wrapping his jacket around her. She was light, too light. Back in the tent, Jace laid her near the heating unit. He checked her vitals on his scanner. Pulse slow, body temp dangerously low. He grabbed a heating blanket and wrapped it around her. Then he placed a hot pack on her chest, and one behind her neck. She flinched and made a sound, a weak whisper in an unknown language. "It's okay," Jace said softly. "You're safe now. I won't hurt you." She looked at him with glowing blue eyes, confused, frightened. He offered her water. She drank slowly. For a long time, she didn't speak. She only stared at the heater, trying to stop shaking. Jace moved to the side, giving her space. After a while, she looked at him and whispered something. "Rax?" He tilted his head. "Vorax? What's that?" She shivered more and pointed outside. Then she hugged herself tightly, as if trying to hide from something invisible. Jace suddenly felt uneasy. He opened his database and typed the word. Search result: Vorax. Unknown creature. Possible predator. Recorded only in ancient probe warnings. No confirmed sightings. His stomach tightened. The wind outside died suddenly. Too suddenly. Jace stood slowly and turned off the heating fan to listen. Silence. Then, a sound. Scraping. Something moved outside the tent. Not the wind. Not the snow. Something heavy. Dragging. Jace picked up his plasma pistol and moved to the zipper of the tent. He didn't open it. He only looked at the scanner. A second heat signature had appeared. Large, slow, and watching. His hand tightened around the weapon. The alien girl suddenly crawled to him and pulled on his sleeve, her glowing eyes wide with fear. "Vorax," she whispered again. "It found me." The girl with glowing veins. Inside the tent, the heat unit hummed softly. But Jace Halden's heart pounded louder than any storm. The alien girl beside him trembled, her glowing eyes staring at the tent wall. She kept whispering the word, "Vorax." Like a warning, like a prayer. Outside, something heavy moved in slow circles. Jace checked the scanner again. The heat signature was still there. It wasn't walking. It was crawling, like a predator. Watching. The tent moving without a sound. He turned to the girl. "Who are you?" he asked gently. She didn't understand all the words, but she looked at him with pain in her eyes. She touched her chest and said, "Sierra." "Okay." "Sierra," Jace said, pointing to himself. "I'm Jace." She nodded weakly. Then slowly, she pulled the blanket from her arm. Jace's breath caught, under her soft lavender skin. Thin veins glowed bright blue, pulsing like light inside her body. He reached out, not to touch, but to scan. The device beeped. Her body temperature was rising quickly, too quickly. "Sierra, you're burning up." But she didn't seem hurt. She sat still, breathing deep, as if the heat was activating something inside her. Jace backed up, confused. Then Sierra opened her mouth again and pointed outside. "Vorax." It smelled heat. Jace froze. The heater. It wasn't them the creature wanted. It was the warmth. He turned off the power core. Darkness filled the tent. The creature outside stopped moving. Sierra wrapped herself in the blanket tighter, and her glowing veins slowly dimmed. Jace looked through the scanner again. The second signature backed away just a little. A few tense minutes passed, then Jace whispered, "Why was it hunting you?" Sierra didn't answer right away. She touched the edge of the tent, then drew two small marks in the snow, a large circle, and a smaller dot inside. Jace recognized the symbol. It was the mark of a breeder species, an ancient warning used in alien research logs. Some species were hunted because their bodies held value like walking tools. "You're engineered," Jace muttered. "A biospecies?" Sierra nodded slowly. Jace realized something more terrifying. Sierra's body created heat internally. She was made to survive freezing planets, maybe even to generate energy, and that made her valuable prey to something like the Vorax. Suddenly, Sierra crawled closer to Jace and gripped his coat. "Warm," she whispered. "Need warm." He pulled back, startled. Her face was close now, her breath fogged in the cold air. "I'm not like that," Jace said, awkward. But Sierra wasn't trying to flirt. She leaned against his chest and shivered. She was using his body heat, her skin reacting to it like a battery charger. Her glowing veins lit again. Her eyes flickered with relief. Jace stayed still, unsure what to do. Then she spoke again, this time more clearly. "You warm, I live." Outside, a howl echoed through the dark, but this time it wasn't distant. It was right above the tent. The roof shook as heavy weight landed on top. Sierra screamed and covered her head. Jace grabbed his rifle and aimed up, a dark shape, pressed against the tent ceiling, a shadow with claws like blades tapping slowly. The tent bent inward slightly. A hole began to tear. Jace rolled over and pulled Sierra with him into the corner. He activated his flare launcher and fired it straight up. Whoosh! The flare exploded through the roof, lighting the sky in bright red. The shadow shrieked, an ear-piercing cry, and leapt away from the heat burst. Snow flew in all directions. Jace looked up through the torn roof. The night sky swirled with clouds. No stars, just cold wind. Sierra looked at him, her voice shaking. "Vorax, return. You, come cave. Safe." She pointed toward the ice ridge beyond the camp. Jace nodded. "We'll move at first light." But Sierra shook her head. "No light. It hunt in dark." He sighed, loading his rifle. "Then we move now." He looked at her glowing skin and whispered, "Let's just hope you don't shine too bright." They stepped out into the storm together, one human, one glowing alien girl, and disappeared into the frozen dark. Hunted by shadows, snow crunched under their boots as Jace Halden and Sierra moved through the frozen forest, leaving behind the torn tent and their only heater. The icy wind cut like knives across Jace's face, but he didn't stop. Behind them, the howling stopped, but that was worse, because when the Vorax went quiet, it was getting ready to strike. Sierra walked close beside him, small and fast despite the cold. Her long white hair blew like smoke in the wind. Her veins still glowed, faintly under her skin, blue lines running up her neck and arms. "Can you turn the glow off?" Jace asked, looking around nervously. Sierra tried to focus, closing her eyes tight. The glow dimmed but didn't vanish. "Sorry," she whispered. "It not stop when scared?" Jace nodded. "Then let's hope that cave you mentioned is close." They reached a sharp ice wall after 20 minutes. Sierra pointed to a crack near the base. "In here," she said. "Old escape cave. Not safe, but hidden." They squeezed through the narrow gap, crawling on hands and knees. Inside, it opened into a dark chamber with low ceilings and icy walls. A broken metal box sat in the corner, an old shelter pod from a long-lost alien expedition. Jace checked the scanner. No heat signatures yet. For now, they were alone. He exhaled slowly. "We'll rest here, just for a bit." Sierra curled into the corner, hugging herself. Her body was still trembling. Jace took off his outer jacket and placed it around her. "You're gonna freeze." She looked at him, confused. "Why, give me coat." "Because I don't need it as much as you do." She stared at him for a moment, then slowly leaned against his shoulder. "You, not like others," she whispered. Jace raised an eyebrow. "You've met other humans?" She shook her head. "No. Other species. They leave. They take. You stay." Suddenly, Sierra touched her forehead to his. Jace tensed. "What are you doing?" "Memory bond," she whispered. "Only if you allow. I show you truth. No pain." He hesitated, then nodded slowly. In an instant, visions flooded his mind. He saw her running through a dark lab, screaming. Cold metal hands grabbed her. Needles, electric scans. Voices saying, "Keep her warm, she's a power core in skin." He saw her escape, alone, bleeding, frozen. Then, she saw him, setting up camp, firelight, a safe place. The vision faded. Jace gasped and pulled back. Sierra looked away, ashamed. "I'm sorry. I show too much." Jace placed a hand on her shoulder. "No, I needed to see it." Now he understood. She wasn't just an alien girl. She was hunted because of what she could do. Suddenly, the scanner beeped. Movement. Close. Jace grabbed his plasma rifle and stepped quietly to the cave entrance. He peered out. At first, he saw nothing. Then, glowing red eyes moved between the trees. Then another pair. Then 3 more. "Not one Vorax," Jace whispered. "A pack." He rushed back to Sierra. "We're surrounded." Sierra's veins glowed brighter. She stood up, her eyes wide with fear, and something else. Then, "I help." She stepped to the old alien crate and opened it. Inside was a metal glove device, cracked but working. It pulsed with faint energy. "This, made by my kind." "Heat weapon," she said. "It bond to me." She slid it onto her hand. The glove lit up. Jace blinked. "What does it do?" She stared, toward the exit, and said simply, "It burns monsters." Outside, the Vorax pack crept toward the cave. They were tall and thin, like wolves made of shadow and bone, long claws, teeth like stone knives, eyes like red fire. They were fast. And hungry. Inside the cave, Jace and Sierra stood side by side. He raised his rifle. She raised her glowing hand. "If we don't make it," Jace started. Sierra touched his hand. "We make it." The first Vorax leapt through the entrance. Jace fired. Sierra's hand lit up like the sun. A wave of heat shot forward, burning the creature mid-air. It shrieked. Another came, and another. Together, the human and the alien girl fought like one mind. He aimed. She scorched. Step by step, they pushed the monsters back. When the battle ended, smoke rose from the cave walls. 3. Vorax lay still. The rest fled into the snowstorm. Jace, dropped to his knees, breathing hard. Sierra knelt beside him, smiling weakly. You fight like bonded? She said. Jace chuckled. We make a good team. She leaned her head on his shoulder. My tent now? She whispered playfully. Jace smiled. Sure, just no more surprises. The truth about her kind. The cave was quiet now. The air still smelled of smoke and burnt fur from the fallen Vorax outside. The fire Jace started in a broken metal bin gave off just enough warmth to keep them alive. The flames danced on the icy walls, casting long shadows. Jace Halden sat near the fire, checking the last battery cells in his emergency pack. Only 2 left. We'll need to move again by morning, he said. Sierra didn't reply. She sat a few feet away, her legs folded, her silver eyes glowing dimly. She held something in her hand, a small thin metal strip with symbols on it. Jace leaned over. What's that? Sierra didn't speak right away. Then she held it out. Memory key, she said, from before escape. Jace took it carefully and looked at the writing. It wasn't just a tag. It was a label. One word repeated 3 times in a strange alien dialect. Project Warmthborn. Jace's eyebrows lowered. You were part of an experiment? Sierra nodded slowly. They build me, not birth me. She placed a hand on her chest. I was made to carry heat. Jace stayed quiet, listening. My kind. Bio-light reactors. Small, strong. We walk in ice. Power colonies. Or ships or war. She looked away, ashamed. But some use us wrong. Jace stood up and paced. So you're not just hunted by the Vorax, you're hunted by whoever made you. Sierra nodded. They say we can't love, can't bond, but I remember touch. I remember you. She looked at him deeply. I choose memory, not program. Jace didn't know what to say. He'd met soldiers, pilots, leaders, but never someone like her. Not just alien, not just created, but someone who wanted to live free. Not as a machine, but as a person. He sat beside her and handed back the memory key. You're not a tool, he said. You're Sierra. She smiled softly and leaned closer. Suddenly, a small chirp came from Jace's wrist pad. He looked down. A signal. Weak. It wasn't Vorax. It wasn't the builders. It was human. Jace stood up fast. That's my crew. The signal came from 10 kilometers south near the mountain pass. Jace grabbed his gear. We can get there by sunrise if we leave now. Sierra hesitated. Then she asked, will they take me too? He turned to her. You saved my life. You're coming with me, no matter what. She smiled and stood up. Her legs shook slightly. She hadn't fully recovered from the cold. Jace reached out his hand. She took it. As they packed their things, Jace noticed something odd. Sierra's skin was warmer than before. Not hot, but naturally warm, like a human. He scanned her quickly. Her body readings were shifting. You're changing, he said. Sierra nodded. Because of bond. Your warmth changed me. They left the cave just before dawn. The snowstorm had faded. The sky was dark blue and twin moons lit their path. Jace walked ahead with his scanner. Sierra walked behind, silent, alert. Then she stopped suddenly. Her eyes narrowed. Jace turned. What is it? She pointed to the horizon. A black dot moved in the sky. Then another. Ships. Not human. Slaver ships. Her creators had followed the trail. Jace stepped beside her. Run? Sierra looked ahead. No, we hide. I burn beacon. They think I die. She reached into her suit and pulled out a tiny metal cube, barely larger than a coin. Heat burst. Small fire, big signal, then fade. She smiled sadly. They chase heat. I give them mine. Jace shook his head. If it burns too long, you'll... She pressed the cube to her chest. Only way. They stop looking. You go safe. Jace stepped forward. We go together, but Sierra stepped back. My tent now, she said, smiling gently. Then she pressed the cube. It lit. A flash of light surrounded her. The snow glowed white. The air shook with heat. Then, silence. She was gone. Jace stared at the snow, heart sinking. The scanner blinked. No life nearby, just heat residue. He dropped to his knees, whispering, "You didn't have to." But the slaver ships turned, followed the false flare, and vanished into the sky. Jace stood up slowly, eyes full of loss. He looked at the mountains. One step, then another. He would reach the crew, but he would never forget her. Vorax awakens. The cold wind howled across the snowy ridge as Jace Halden climbed higher toward the signal. His legs were heavy, not from the storm, but from loss. He kept seeing her, Sierra, in his mind. Her glowing veins, her gentle smile. The way, she called it my tent now, right before she disappeared in that brilliant light. She had sacrificed herself, so he could live, so they both could be free. Jace reached the top of the ridge just as the sky began to lighten. A soft pink hue painted the clouds above. In the distance, he saw blinking lights. His crew's beacon. Relief should have hit him, like warm air. But it didn't. His heart still felt frozen. Suddenly, a low growl echoed from behind him. Jace froze. He turned slowly. There, in the shadows of the ice pillars, stood a creature at least 10 feet tall. Its skin was black and rough, like armor. Its eyes glowed red-orange and its breath steamed in the cold. Vorax. But this one was different. Larger. Smarter. The others had been wild beasts. This one looked at Jace like a hunter watching prey. Jace raised his plasma rifle. It didn't flinch. Instead, it spoke. "You, warm one." Gave her bond. It growled in broken words. Jace's hands trembled. "You can talk?" The Vorax stepped forward. "Warm girl, not dead, changed. You change her, now, I take you both." Jace fired. The bolt hit the creature's chest, but it barely moved. The Vorax charged, roaring. Jace dove behind an icy rock and tossed a sonic mine. Boom! The explosion knocked the beast back but didn't stop it. He ran, down the ridge toward the beacon, heart pounding. Behind him, the Vorax chased fast, smashing through frozen trees. Jace reached the base of the ridge and slammed into the snow. Near the beacon post, he activated the emergency flare. A light shot into the sky. Seconds later, a ship roared overhead. His team. The ship landed fast, and 2 soldiers pulled Jace inside. "Man down. He's got a hunter on him." The ship took off just as the Vorax leapt upward, claws slashing. One claw scraped the hull but missed the engine. Inside the ship, Jace collapsed. "Where's the girl?" the commander asked. Jace just stared at the floor. "Gone," he said, quietly. "She burned herself to save me." The team went silent. Back at base, Jace was checked by medics. He had burns, bruises, and signs of minor frostbite, but he barely felt them. All he could think about was her. He sat alone in the base's glass observation room watching the snow outside. Then, a soft light blinked on the corner table. A message. No, one else had sent it. He tapped the screen. "Jace." The voice was soft, familiar. Sierra's voice. His heart jumped. The screen lit up. A hologram of her face appeared. "Hello," she said, her image flickering. "If you see this, I'm not gone. I am changed." Jace leaned forward, eyes wide. "I survived the burn," she continued. "The cube. It didn't destroy me. It transformed me." The image glitched slightly. "My body reacted to your warmth. It created something new. My creators feared it. I used it to escape." She paused, eyes soft. "But I'm not safe yet. I sent this from a hidden pod. The Vorax wants me still. Not for power, for what I became. Her voice grew faint. I'll find you again, Jace. You gave me life. Now I must protect yours. The screen went black. Jace stared at the empty display, breath shaking. She was alive. Somewhere out there. She was alive, and stronger than before. He stood up slowly, his eyes focused. Sierra, I'm coming, he whispered. Behind him, the storm howled again, but this time it sounded like a call. Visitors from the sky above the Earth Coalition base was clear for once. No storms. No howls, just quiet snow falling slowly like ashes. But Jace Halden couldn't rest, not after the message. Sierra was alive. Changed. Hiding. Still hunted. He replayed her hologram again and again, watching her glowing eyes, her soft voice saying, I must protect your life now. He didn't understand it fully, but deep in his heart he knew she was not the same Sierra anymore, and something was coming. The calm shattered at dawn. Alarms rang through the base. Jace jumped from his bunk and ran to the command room in the large screen. 3 ships entered orbit. Sleek. Black. Marked with glowing red symbols. Not Coalition. Not Vorax. Something worse. The commander zoomed in. This one matches an old alien registry, he said. Code marked as Genabinders. Jace's heart sank. That was Sierra's creator race, the ones who had built her, hunted her, and called her a tool. They're looking for her, Jace said. She's not dead and they know it. The base shook slightly as the enemy ships deployed small scout pods to the surface. Not to attack, to search. One pod landed just outside the frozen valley. Jace watched from the observation tower as tall, white-armored soldiers stepped out. Their helmets were smooth without faces. Their weapons glowed with soft heat. They weren't here to fight. They were here to collect. In the briefing room, the commander turned to Jace. You made contact with the alien girl. You know how they operate. Jace nodded. They won't stop. Sierra burned herself to throw them off, but they've learned. They'll tear this place apart to find her. The commander stared at him. If she contacts you again, you tell us. Jace didn't answer. That night, Jace sat alone under the stars outside the base walls. The snow crunched softly behind him. He turned. No one. Then a faint blue light blinked near his feet. He knelt and picked it up. A tiny crystal shard, like the ones Sierra's body had glowed with. It was warm. Suddenly, a soft voice came from the wind. Jace. He turned quickly. She stood behind a snow boulder, Sierra, her skin glowing brighter than ever, her eyes like fire and frost. But she was different. Her body had changed, slimmer, stronger. Her veins pulsed like energy lines. You're alive, he whispered. She nodded. Not just alive, awakened. Jace stepped forward, speechless. Sierra spoke again. I came to warn you. The Genabinders. They don't want to bring me back. He frowned. Then what? They want my DNA. They saw what I became after bonding. With you. They want to make more. Her voice broke. They want to use you too. Jace froze. They tracked my bond to you. They'll extract it from your blood. You are not safe. Suddenly a scout drone flew overhead. Sierra grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the trees. We have minutes, she said. They ran through the snow, breath heavy in the cold air. Behind them, the drone sent a signal. More pods began landing. The Genbinders had found them. Sierra led Jace to a deep ravine covered in glowing moss. There, hidden beneath the roots, was a small stealth pod, alien, sleek, pulsing softly. My last escape, she said. I didn't want to use it unless I had to. Jace looked at her. We go now? Sierra looked down. There's only one seat. Jace stepped back. Then you go. but she shook her head. No, I brought it for you. He stared at her. What? You are the key. They will use me, but they will build armies from your blood. That's why I must stay. I burn their labs from inside. Jace stepped closer, voice rising. No. We fight together. She touched his chest gently. You gave me freedom. Let me give it back. Then, an explosion shook the ground. Genabender troops began to descend into the valley. Jace looked at the pod, then at her. You better survive this. Sierra smiled. My tent, still waiting. She kissed his cheek, soft and warm, then shoved him into the pod and closed the door. The pod launched silently, lifting into the sky. Jace's fists clenched. Below, the last thing he saw was Sierra turning to face the soldiers, alone. After the ice of flame stars moved slowly outside the pod's window. Jace Halden sat quietly in the pilot seat, hands shaking. He had left her behind. Sierra. She had saved him again, pushed him into the escape pod, faced her creators alone. He didn't want to leave, but she gave him no choice. The pod flew low through the upper atmosphere of Vega 7, trying to avoid Genabender satellites. Every few seconds, Jace checked the tracker, looking for any sign of her. Nothing. No pulse, no signal. Just silence. Back at the Earth Coalition base, the pod landed safely. Jace was pulled from the hatch by soldiers and medics, but his mind wasn't there. He kept thinking of her face, her voice, the final words she whispered. You gave me freedom. Let me give it back. For 3 days, Jace stayed in medical recovery. His body healed. His mind did not. No word from Sierra. No sign of her pod. No alien energy bursts. Nothing. Until, on the 4th night, the northern sky lit up. Not with storms, with fire. The flames rose high over the ice fields. Pillars of light cracked through the mountains. The Coalition base scanners went wild. Unknown explosion detected, one technician said, reading high fusion levels and alien tech signatures. Jace rushed to the control room. What direction? They pointed to a frozen basin, near the Genabender drop site. Jace's heart pounded. He knew it. She did it. A rescue team was formed. Immediately, Jace insisted on leading it. He piloted the skimmer straight toward the glowing valley, snow kicking up behind them like waves. As they arrived, the sight stunned them all. The Genabender lab structure was gone, reduced to twisted metal and melted stone. The ice around it had turned into crystal. Strange blue light pulsed beneath the surface like a heartbeat, and in the middle of it all, she stood. Sierra. Her skin was no longer lavender. It was almost silver, with glowing blue patterns like ancient runes etched across her arms and face. She wasn't just alive. She was transformed. Jace ran to her. Sierra. She turned slowly, eyes glowing brighter than stars. He stopped, unsure. She looked stronger, older, like a being reborn. Then, she smiled. Same old smile, same soft voice. Missed your tent, she said. Jace laughed, almost cried. He stepped forward and hugged her tightly. She held him just as close. Later back at base, doctors couldn't understand how she survived. Her body was no longer fully organic. It had fused with the power source meant to destroy her. She had become a being of warmth, living energy inside a living form. No longer hunted, no longer broken. She was free. As the days passed, Jace and Sierra spent time walking the snowy ridges. One evening, they sat near a small fire outside the base wall. Sierra looked up at the stars. My people may return, she said. Others may want to own me again. Jace nodded. Let them try. She smiled again. You'd fight the galaxy for me? He placed a hand over hers. No, he said. I'd just keep the tent warm. Far above, in a distant ship cloaked in shadows, a new figure watched the planet. A Genabender admiral stood beside a hologram of Sierra. She evolved, he whispered, and she chose him. He turned to his officers. Prepare the next phase. The warmth born was only a prototype. But down below in the quiet snow, Jace and Sierra sat by the fire, together, not soldier and weapon, not human and experiment, but bonded. Two souls who found something in the cold, something no storm could ever freeze.